Hey Game Changers, I want to share with you today a very powerful strategy that I myself personally have used in my business, the Game Changers, but we've also used it in a lot of clients that we've worked with as well, because ultimately as your business starts to scale, if you haven't got the ability to attract, train and retain the right staff, you're ultimately going to hit a wall. There's only so much that you can grow doing everything yourself, or you and one other person. So it's really important that as your business starts to grow, that you can attract the right staff, that you've got the ability to train the right staff, and you can retain the right staff. And so there's essentially three key points that I want to share with you. And two of them might sound familiar, but it's really the first one that lays the foundation to making this happen. I'm sitting here, Paul, so I'm actually in Jakarta today, so you may hear the odd child screech or squeal, but hopefully it won't be too much of an issue. So point number one I want to talk about, and these three kind of fundamental steps, or I suppose the context of what I'm going to lay down, applies not just to this specific principle around leadership or building a team, but it actually can be taken and applied to every area of your business, from marketing to sales through the financial management and every area of growth. And I want you to kind of keep that in mind as I share, because you may take some specifics from this video around you and your team, but you also might find that you can actually take more so the fundamental thinking and the processing that I'm about to share with you into other areas of your business as well. So without further ado, let's get into it. So step number one really comes down to what I call the inner game. Is that ultimately as a company, anything that's left unresolved within you is going to show up within your team, within your clients, and within the growth or the non-growth of your company. Because people don't have business problems. People have personal problems that are expressed throughout their business. So let me say that again. People don't have business problems. They have personal problems that are expressed within their businesses. And so ultimately, what that means is that anything that is going on internally inside of you, any belief systems, any values conflicts, any sense of internal sabotage that is left unresolved is going to show up in your team, it's going to show up in your clients, and it's going to show up in the growth or non-growth of your company. Because there's been so many times that I've worked with somebody and they've turned around and said to me, Barry, I can't find good staff. It's impossible to find good staff. It's impossible to keep the right staff. Every staff that all the staff that I hire steals from me. Every staff member that I hire leaves me. Like, I've heard them all. But the interesting thing is that for each individual person, the patterning is slightly different. Like, I met one woman who said every staff member that I hire steals from me. And just about every staff member she hired got caught thieving from her. I met another person that said, every staff member that I hire and train up leaves me, right? And these were both staffing issues, but completely different issues for both of these leaders. And, once we dived down the psychology of what was going on with the business owner, we actually found out on both their circumstances there was patterning going on that was left unresolved. The one woman who had a bunch of tobaccoists that people kept stealing from her, is that she developed a belief that she picked up off her father, that if you were successful, that people would always come and take that from you, like the tall poppy syndrome thing. And so what she found is every time she started to achieve, felt that she had good staff on, she could step back from the business, she would find them stealing from her. And now I know this might sound a bit woo-woo, but this is the way that life happens. We don't see life as life is, we see life as we are, through our filters of our experience. And the situations that we've learned to survive growing up become the situations that our continued survival depends upon. And so if we've survived experiences growing up of theft, of not feeling good enough, of being beaten or shamed, any of this sort of stuff that very much relates to the inner game, that's going to be expressed and that's going to show up in your company. And it's very easy to go, I just need to go and hire some more staff, or good staff just don't exist. But I'm here to tell you that's not true. Any situation or anything that you believe right now, I could almost guarantee that I could find something to the contrary of that, unless we're talking about the earth being flat. But if you're talking about staffing issues, that there's not good staff that exist, or they won't stay around, they don't do what you wanted to do, I could give you examples of hundreds of businesses we've worked with and business owners that have had similar beliefs to maybe what you have at the moment, that have gone and through it and resolved and transcended those beliefs and, made a quantum shift around them and been able to attract, train and retain the right staff. And, I've only got to look at my business. Is that for a long time, I tried to hire salespeople, and for whatever reason, I realized that there was some form of my identity wrapped up around sales. It's like it was the last position I had to hire for, and if I had someone in the role of doing sales, it meant that I was no longer required in my business because I'd already outsourced the coaching, I'd already outsourced a lot of the marketing stuff, I'd already outsourced, the operational and the leadership stuff, hired a general manager there. But the one role that I still was required to do was sales, and every time I stopped selling, the company stopped growing. And, I think that unconsciously, I got a lot of significance from that. And it actually took me quite some time to move through that belief to where I now have a sales team on board. I'm here in Jakarta. I've actually been on a meditation retreat for the last couple of weeks, and my company's still growing. I look at my emails and I see notifications of new members that have joined and payments that are being made, and I'm not having to do any of that. But it was a significant shift that had to be made internally. So that's point number one, and we can dive down into that, and we do dive down into that a lot more in the scale sessions, in the programs we offer at the Game Changers. But number one is that any problem that exists in your business right now is just a reflection of some aspect of you. Take it or leave it. If you're willing to take that on board and be responsible for that, we can create a shift around that, and we can see a significant change happen almost instantaneously in your business through creating that transition within inside of you. The second one is, so first we talked inner game. The second one I want to talk about is outer game. It comes down to strategy. A lot of people talk about vision, mission, and values, and vision, mission, values are essentially a way that you can bottle who you are as a leader and who the DNA that you wish your company to have moving forward, so that when you bring on staff, they're able to represent that same DNA. So whether you're there or not there, people are still getting the experience of your business. Whether I'm selling or whether I'm not selling, whether I'm delivering the coaching or not delivering the coaching, our clients are still getting experience of the Game Changers and of the energetic DNA organization that I wanted to create many years ago and that I now have created. And so the second part is strategy, and on another one of these videos I'm going to share with you how we kind of break that down. But it's really important that you're clear. First and foremost, if you look at those Russian dolls that fold inside of one another, the bigger picture is your vision. All right, that's the biggest one. And the next one inside of that is your mission. Okay, the vision is kind of the intangible that you spend your life pursuing. It's like the sun or a rainbow. No matter how hard you pursue it, you never quite get to the end of that rainbow. But it's still beautiful to go in pursuit of that. It's still beautiful to go in pursuit of the sunset. The second is your mission. And your mission is almost like a 3-year BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal. Like, what is a big chunk that if we were to achieve a big goal in the next 3 to 5 years, would be closer to achieving that intangible vision that we have? Then we want to break that down into our weeks, our widely important goals for 12 months. We want to break 12 months down into 90 days, 90 days into a month, month into a week into a day. And I like working in 3. So I've always got, 3 tasks or 3 projects for the week. And each day of the week that I choose to work, I have 3 things I want to tick off that day. And each of those acts as one Russian doll of the whole set. And so all I'm focusing on down here is just achieving this little Russian doll, these one of 3 things for today, or of this week, or of this month, or of this quarter, all right, which ultimately leads back into the vision. And so, we don't have to look at the vision on a regular basis, as long as we've set the time aside to do our planning accurately, and we set time in to calibrate. For us, me and my GM calibrate every month to see whether we're on track. Me and her and the whole team calibrate once a year, and then myself spend a couple of days, we calibrate every quarter, and then myself spends 2 days once a year to really reflect on my own to see whether the vision that I have for our company and for the change and the impact that we want to make, whether we're on call with that, because ultimately that has stemmed from me, and it's important that I'm crystal clear on that before I then go and take that out to my team. So as I said, I'll record another video on breaking down that a little bit more, because I think it's important. So we talked about the inner game, we talked about the outer game, and now I want to talk a little bit about the time mastery aspect, which is the communication rhythm. And one thing that I found incredibly difficult for myself when I first started my company and hiring a team is I didn't enjoy meetings. I thought they were a massive waste of time. I used to count up how many people were at the meetings and how long they went for and the hourly rate that I was paying out for the people to be at that meeting. And I just felt that they were completely inefficient and the people should have an idea of what they're doing. I've since changed my tune on that, because what I realized, it wasn't that I hated meetings or didn't enjoy meetings. I didn't enjoy ineffective meetings that didn't move the vision forwards. And so we've since developed a communication rhythm that we share with our clients, and we very much follow through on our business, where we do have several meetings that are had every week, every month, and every year. But each meeting is very purposeful. It has a specific action that is required, or a specific outcome that keeps the whole entire organisation running clean. As I mentioned, I'm here sitting beautiful poolside in Jakarta. I've been away for a couple of weeks. My team is firing. We're making sales. We're getting amazing feedback on our Facebook group from our members that are just loving the stuff that we're delivering, the results that they're getting. But that hasn't happened overnight. That's happened because, over a period of time, I've just kept on implementing and executing changes both internally and externally, and in the way that I use my time, and that my team uses their time, and that a way that our clients use our time to get the most leverage and the maximum amount out of life. Because, for me, I'm here to enjoy an amazing life. I'm here to experience more fulfillment and more love and greater impact, and help our clients do the same. But in order to do that, we need to have more time, we need to have more money. And so that's where the communication rhythm is really, really important. So, the benefit of obviously jumping on a scale call is that we can dive down a lot deeper. A scale session with one of my team is we can dive down a lot deeper on any of these three elements. But the most important thing, even if you don't, is to look at implementing and impacting your business. Is number one is starting to see the challenges, the problems that are coming up, not as business problems, but as personal problems, and start to reflect rather than outside there on who's not doing the right thing and what's not happening. Start reflecting inside of here and ask yourself, okay, how am I expressing myself, or how's part of me showing up externally to myself in that space. Number two is making sure that you have a very, very clear strategy that breaks down the bigger vision into 3 to 5 years, 1 year, 90 days, 1 month, 1 week, and days. And that's the way that you can effectively delegate to your team, but also make sure that you achieve massive growth in your business in a very short period of time. Because I think that proper planning prevents piss poor performance, and ultimately no one plans to fail. They just simply fail to plan. It was something that I was absolutely terrible at. I'm still not amazing at it, but that's exactly why I hired a phenomenal GM that has that ability, and her skills around planning and setting out structures a lot far beyond me, which allows me more time to create and do the things that are in my space of genius. And then number three is a communication rhythm, is having a rhythm to effectively use our time, so that our time is leveraged top down, bottom up, so that every member of the organization is productive, they're purposeful, and they're achieving great things because they're clear on where we're going, and they're clear on their part to pay in that. So I hope you enjoyed this video and got a lot of value out of it. If you haven't already, I really advise booking with one of the team for a scale session. It'll blow your mind, and obviously being able to start to address these three areas. Obviously, you're in a game, you're out of game, and how you can better leverage your time to get greater growth and greater reward in your business. Outside of that, my name is Barry Malidity. Thanks very much for watching the video to the end, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.